Dr. Teresa Sievers was a respected holistic medicine doctor, known for her passion, intelligence, and unique blend of traditional and alternative healing. She lived with her husband, Mark Sievers, and their 2 daughters in Bonita Springs, Florida. In late June 2015, she flew to Connecticut for a medical conference. Her husband and kids stayed behind. On June 28th, Teresa returned home alone to prepare for the coming work week. She was last seen that night by airport security, walking to her car. The next morning, Teresa never showed up to her clinic. Staff grew concerned. A family friend was sent to check on her. What he found was horrifying. Dr. Teresa Sievers was lying on the kitchen floor, face down in a pool of blood. She had been bludgeoned to death with a hammer, struck over 17 times so brutally that her skull was shattered. There were no signs of forced entry. Her purse and valuables were untouched. This wasn't a robbery. It was an execution. The tight-knit community was stunned. Who would want to kill a doctor, a mother in her own home, and so violently? Detectives immediately looked at Mark Sievers, the husband. He appeared devastated but oddly controlled. When asked if anyone would want to hurt his wife, he mentioned something strange. She had a lot of enemies because of her controversial medical work. It sounded rehearsed. Soon investigators pulled phone records, security footage, and travel logs. That's when the first shocking piece of evidence emerged. On the weekend of Teresa's murder, a rented car from Missouri was seen traveling through Florida, with a toll booth photo capturing 2 men inside. Curtis Wayne Wright and Jimmy Rogers, longtime friends of Mark Sievers. The connection was too close to ignore. Curtis Wright was Mark's childhood best friend, and he'd even served as best man at Mark's wedding. When police confronted Rogers and Wright, they found inconsistencies in their stories. Wright eventually broke. He confessed to everything. According to Wright, Mark Sievers had been planning his wife's murder for months. He was terrified Teresa would take the kids away in a looming divorce. She handled all the finances, and her death meant he'd inherit a multi-million-dollar life insurance policy. Wright said Mark told him, "She has to die. If she doesn't die, I'll lose everything." In exchange for money and loyalty, Mark asked Wright to handle it. Wright recruited Rogers, a career criminal, as backup muscle. They drove over 1,000 miles from Missouri to Florida, broke into the house, and lay in wait for Teresa. When she walked through the door, they attacked her with a hammer from the garage. The assault lasted only minutes, but the horror was unimaginable. The men left no fingerprints, but they couldn't cover their digital trail. GPS from the rental car, surveillance footage, and cell tower pings placed them at the scene. Wright agreed to testify in exchange for a reduced sentence. Rogers went to trial in 2019. His defense tried to paint Wright as the mastermind, but the evidence, including Wright's testimony, physical evidence, and Rogers' own statements, sealed the case. Rogers was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to death. In 2019, 4 years after the murder, Mark Sievers went on trial for orchestrating the murder of his wife. The prosecution painted a chilling picture. A man driven by control, greed, and fear of losing everything. They revealed that Mark had backed up his wife's computer just days before her death, likely to access her financial plans. They also revealed the life insurance policy, worth over $4 million. Curtis Wright's testimony was damning. He told the court, Mark was scared she'd leave him. He said the only way to keep his girls and his life was to kill her. The jury deliberated for only 4 hours. Mark Sievers was found guilty of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. In December 2019, he was sentenced to death. His daughters were placed in the custody of Teresa's family, who now raised them away from the shadow of their father's crimes. Curtis Wright, in exchange for testifying, was sentenced to 25 years in prison. Jimmy Rogers remains on death row in Florida. Dr. Teresa Sievers is remembered not only for the brutal way her life ended, but for the hope and healing she gave to so many. A dedicated physician, wife, and mother, whose ambition and light were extinguished by the one person who should have protected her most.